bother me. Not that he was getting the attention, because I thought he really, really deserved it. But at one point...
Step into Mayberry, where every smile hid a secret. Andy Griffith and Frances Bavier, the heart of the Andy Griffith Show, were locked in a feud that simmered for decades, unseen by fans. Even young Ron Howard felt its shadow. Now, the truth behind those picket fences is finally coming to light, revealing a story that changes everything you thought you knew. Picture a place where time slows down, where fishing holes and front porch chats define the day. That's Mayberry, the heart of the Andy Griffith Show, a sitcom that wrapped America in a warm embrace during the turbulent 1960s. But what if the harmony you saw was a carefully crafted illusion? Behind the scenes, a storm was brewing, a clash so intense, it left scars even the show's star couldn't erase. One cast member stood at the center of it all, and the truth stayed buried for decades. Ready to uncover what really happened in Mayberry? On October 3rd, 1960, the Andy Griffith Show flickered onto CBS screens, introducing viewers to a sleepy North Carolina town that felt like a step back to the 1930s. Over 8 seasons, it delivered 249 episodes, 159 in crisp black and white, 90 in vibrant color, each one a love letter to simpler times. The show was a juggernaut, never ranking below 7th in Nielsen ratings and ending its run at number 1, a triumph matched only by legends like I Love Lucy and Seinfeld. Its secret? A cast that brought Mayberry to life with unmatched charm. Andy Griffith, as Sheriff Andy Taylor, was the steady hand guiding the town. Don Knotts, as the lovable but hapless Deputy Barney Fife, stole hearts with his comedic genius. Frances Bavier, as Aunt Bee, was the nurturing soul of the Taylor household. And then there was young Ron Howard, just 6 years old when he stepped into the role of Opie, Andy's curious son. Together they created a family so real, viewers swore they could smell Aunt Bee's apple pie. But was it all as perfect as it seemed? The show's roots trace back to a clever backdoor pilot on The Danny Thomas Show, where Andy Griffith first appeared as the folksy sheriff. The concept struck gold, blending humor with nostalgia. Andy himself once said in a 2003 Today interview that the show captured a time gone by, a sentiment that resonated deeply with audiences. Fans still flock to Mount Airy, North Carolina, Griffith's hometown and the inspiration for Mayberry, for an annual festival celebrating a town that never truly existed. Spin-offs like Gomer Pyle, USMC, and Mayberry RFD kept the magic alive, and a 1986 reunion movie, Return to Mayberry, brought back the core cast, minus one key figure. Why was she missing? That's where the story gets juicy. Ron Howard wasn't just another child actor. Born March 1st, 1954, in Duncan, Oklahoma, he was practically raised in the spotlight. His father, Rance Howard, was an actor and director. His mother, Jean Spiegel Howard, an actress. Showbiz was in their blood. By age 5, Ron had roles in films like The Journey and TV shows like The Twilight Zone. But landing Opie Taylor in 1960 was his big break. Credited as Ronnie Howard, he spent 8 years growing up on the Desilu lot, tutored between takes and learning the craft alongside veterans. In his 2021 memoir, The Boys, a memoir of Hollywood and family, Ron recalls his first day on set, clutching a toy turtle he had to pretend was dead for a scene. Andy Griffith, ever the mentor, gently coached him through it, sparking a lifelong passion for storytelling. That moment planted the seeds for a career that would see him direct hits like Splash and A Beautiful Mind. But what did young Ron see behind the scenes that wasn't in the script? Mayberry's warmth was a facade for some. While the show won hearts, earning 6 Emmys for Knotts and Bavier, though none for Griffith himself, the set wasn't always a haven of harmony. The most significant rift involved Frances Bavier, whose portrayal of Aunt Bee made her a TV icon. A trained New York actress, Bavier brought depth to her role but struggled with its limitations. She once confided to TV Guide that she felt sidelined, watching others get the big laughs while she played the straight role. Her serious demeanor clashed with Griffith's playful energy. He loved practical jokes and singing between takes. She preferred quiet focus. According to Rance Howard, Andy harbored resentment toward her, a tension that simmered throughout the show's run. Was there more to this feud than just personality clashes? Reports suggest Bavier felt her dramatic talents were underused, a frustration that made her sensitive on set. Crew members tiptoed around her, wary of her reactions. Yet, to young Ron, she was still Aunt B, even off-screen. In a 1961 Hartford Courant interview, Bavier said she felt adopted by the cast, especially by Ron, who called her by her character's name. But the warmth didn't extend to everyone. The rift with Griffith was so deep that when he and Ron visited her in 1972, she turned them away. What drove such a lasting divide? Ron, just a child, wasn't immune to the undercurrents. In his memoir, he writes of witnessing adult problems and ugliness on set, though he credits his parents for shielding him from the worst. While he may not have loathed anyone, the tensions left an impression. By the time the show ended in 1968, Ron was ready to move on. He soon starred as Richie Cunningham in Happy Days, but his heart was already turning toward directing. His 1977 debut, Grand Theft Auto, marked the start of a new chapter, followed by hits like Night Shift and Splash, proving he was more than Mayberry's favorite son. The Andy Griffith Show's legacy endures, its episodes still airing in syndication and celebrated at fan festivals. But the real story lies in what happened when the cameras stopped rolling. The feud between Griffith and Bavier wasn't just a clash of egos. It was a human struggle, one that left a mark on everyone involved. Years later, in 1989, Bavier reached out to Griffith, apologizing for her difficulties on set, a gesture that softened the past. What drove her to make that call? And how did Ron Howard navigate the shadows of Mayberry to become a Hollywood legend? The answers lie ahead, but one thing's clear. Even in America's favorite town, secrets were never far from the surface. Beneath the surface of this cherished town, where every porch swing creaked with nostalgia, a silent rift grew between two of its brightest lights, Andy Griffith and Frances Bavier. Their story, often murmured in hushed tones, casts a shadow over the glowing memories of the Andy Griffith Show, revealing a legacy as complex as it is captivating. What unraveled between these two icons, whose on-screen bond warmed hearts across America? The answer lies in a tale of clashing souls, buried regrets, and a fragile peace found just in time. Picture Andy Griffith, the man who embodied Sheriff Andy Taylor with a stillness that steadied Mayberry's chaos. His lopsided grin and gentle drawl turned disputes into lessons, a widower raising his boy with a moral clarity that felt eternal. He was the town's heartbeat, threading humor and humanity into every frame. Beside him stood Frances Bavier as Aunt B, the woman who kneaded love into every biscuit and stitched the Taylor home together with quiet care. Her stern kindness and homely wisdom made her a figure etched in television history, an aunt to a nation. Together they wove a tapestry of kinship that viewers clung to, a portrait of harmony glowing in black and white. Yet, step off that set, and the threads began to fray. Why did two people so flawless on screen drift so far apart in life? The rift wasn't loud. It simmered in glances and silences. Griffith thrived in the camaraderie of the crew, his laughter spilling across the lot, while Bavier carved out her own space, a solitary figure shaped by her years in New York's theater scene. A 2022 biography, Mayberry Unraveled, notes how her insistence on perfection clashed with Griffith's laid-back style. She'd pause a scene over a misplaced prop, her voice sharp with conviction while he'd shrug and strum a tune. Director Bob Sweeney once shared a memory with Variety of asking Bavier to shift slightly for a shot. She stared him down, unmoving, as if the request trespassed on sacred ground. To young Ron Howard, peering through Opie's wide eyes, she remained a mystery, an Aunt Bee off-screen yet distant. Griffith, ever the peacemaker, knocked on her door one evening in 1974, arms open, only to find it shut tighter than before. Her need for solitude trumped his olive branch, leaving wounds that time seemed powerless to heal. But could decades of distance ever mend? As the years softened their edges, fate nudged them toward a reckoning. In 1989, with illness dimming her days, Bavier dialed Griffith's number from her Siler City retreat. Her voice, weakened but resolute, carried an olive branch of her own. "I wish we'd understood each other better," she confessed, owning the strain she'd sown. She lauded his stewardship of their show, a lifeline to millions, and he listened, heart full, as closure draped over them like a long overdue dawn. She slipped away that December at 86, a private soul embraced by a town that mirrored Mayberry. Griffith joined her in eternity in 2012, resting on Roanoke Island, his haven, at the same age. Their parting words lingered, a whisper of grace proving that even the deepest divides can find a bridge. As Mayberry's legends faded, a different light flickered to life. Ron Howard, once the freckled boy scampering through those streets, forged a path of his own. A love story that Hollywood couldn't dim. He met Cheryl Alley at 16, two dreamers in a California haze, her poise catching his eye like a scene he couldn't cut. Their first night out unfolded in his beat-up Volkswagen Beetle, movies, pizza, and a spark that refused to fade. By 1975, they stood hand in hand in Burbank, vowing forever amid Happy Days cheers. She'd made him wait, though. 3 proposals, determined to carve her own story before weaving it with his. "She's the compass I didn't know I needed," he told Entertainment Weekly in 2024. How do you hold a flame steady for half a century in a world that loves to snuff it out? Their answer lies in the life they built. 4 kids, including Bryce and Paige, raised not just in fame's glare, but in a home where stories reigned. Cheryl, a writer with a voice as strong as her husband's lens, called their bond a shared script in a 2023 podcast. For their 50th in 2025, Ron dusted off that old Beetle, its engine humming as they cruised into twilight, a nod to the kids they'd been. "We've weathered every storm," he grinned on Instagram, "and we're still rolling." It's a love that doesn't shout but sings, a harmony born of patience, growth, and a promise to find each other, always at the center. The California sky burned gold as Ron Howard and Cheryl slipped into their 1970 Volkswagen Beetle, its engine purring with memories of their first date. On June 7, 2025, they marked 50 years of marriage. Not with Hollywood's usual fanfare, but with a quiet drive, windows down, letting the breeze carry half a century of love. They met as teenagers, 2 dreamers in a world of fleeting romances, and built something rare, a bond that weathered fame, family, and time's relentless march. "We've always kept paddling," Ron shared in a 2023 People interview, likening their journey to a river ride through calm and stormy waters. Their story, unassuming yet profound, begs the question: in a town built on spectacle, how do you craft a love that lasts forever? Ron Howard's legacy, though, stretches far beyond his personal life. He's a rare figure who conquered both sides of the camera, moving from the freckled charm of Opie Taylor to the director's chair with an Oscar for A Beautiful Mind. His career began in the 1960s, stealing hearts on the Andy Griffith Show and later as Richie Cunningham in Happy Days. But even as a child, Howard was studying the craft, absorbing lessons from mentors like Andy Griffith. By 1977, he took a leap with Grand Theft Auto, a scrappy film that screamed ambition. The 1980s brought Splash and Willow, proving his knack for blending heart with spectacle. The 1990s saw Far and Away and The Paper, but it was A Beautiful Mind in 2001 that redefined him. The film, a poignant portrait of mathematician John Nash, earned Howard Best Director and Best Picture Oscars, cementing his place among Hollywood's elite. Yet, not everyone cheered. Critics pointed to omissions in Nash's story: his bisexuality, a child born outside his marriage, arguing Howard softened the truth for drama's sake. He stood by his choices, focusing on Nash's mental health journey, but the debate lingered. Could a storyteller's vision ever fully capture a life's complexity? Howard's career didn't stop there. He tackled Apollo 13, Frost, Nixon, and Rush, each film a testament to his range. His 2022 release, 13 Lives, brought the Thai cave rescue to life with gripping precision, earning praise for its authenticity. In 2024, Eden, a survival thriller with Jude Law and Ana de Armas, added another chapter to his storied resume. But Hillbilly Elegy in 2020 stirred a different kind of storm. Based on J.D. Vance's memoir, the film drew harsh reviews despite audience support and an Oscar nod for Glenn Close. Howard saw it as a story of resilience, but critics called it shallow, a divide he described as the biggest differential between fans and reviewers. What happens when a director's heart clashes with the world's expectations? Beyond the screen, Howard's financial savvy has built a fortune estimated at $200 million in 2024. His production company, Imagine Entertainment, co-founded with Brian Grazer in 1985, is a powerhouse behind hits like Arrested Development, 24, and Empire. Real estate investments, including luxurious homes in New York and Los Angeles, reflect his taste for understated elegance. He still drives that 1970 VW Bug, a nod to his roots, but likely owns other high-end vehicles. Perhaps a sleek Mercedes or Tesla, common among Hollywood's elite. While his watch collection isn't public, it's reasonable to assume he owns luxury timepieces, perhaps a Rolex or Patek Philippe, befitting his status. Imagine Entertainment's success underscores a key lesson. Diversify your ventures. His real estate moves show the value of long-term stability, while his career teaches the power of betting on passion. Howard's wealth isn't just money. It's a legacy of smart choices and creative risks. Yet, Howard's journey hasn't been without shadows. His time on The Andy Griffith Show left marks, particularly his strained dynamic with Frances Bavier. As Aunt Bee, she was America's nurturing heart, but off-screen, her rigid demeanor chilled young Ron. In his 2021 memoir, The Boys, he recalls her as distant, a stark contrast to her warm character. Scenes like the infamous pickle episode where he choked down jars of the stuff he despised were made harder by her icy presence. Decades later, another betrayal echoed that pain. J.D. Vance, whose memoir Howard adapted, was once a collaborator whose story of struggle resonated deeply. But as Vance's political path veered into divisive rhetoric, Howard felt a familiar sting. In a 2024 CBS Mornings interview, he expressed quiet dismay, not with anger, but with the weight of someone who's seen trust unravel before. Why do some stories shift in ways that break the heart? These moments, Bavier's coldness, Vance's transformation, taught Howard a truth. Authenticity is fragile. He's carried that lesson through a career that spans 6 decades. From Mayberry's fishing holes to Hollywood's red carpets, his films, from 13 Lives to Eden, reflect a commitment to stories that matter, told with care. His marriage to Cheryl, now 50 years strong, is a testament to love that endures without fanfare. As he navigates an industry of fleeting trends, Howard remains a steady hand, a storyteller who knows the power of truth, even when it's hard to tell. What does Ron Howard's life reveal? That the greatest stories aren't always the loudest. That love, when tended, outlasts fame. That authenticity, though elusive, is worth chasing. In a world of shifting masks, his quiet victories, on set, at home, in his heart, speak louder than any spotlight ever could. And with a $200 million fortune built through Imagine Entertainment and smart real estate, Howard proves that passion, paired with strategy, builds empires that last. What struck you most about this story? Did the feud surprise you, or was it Howard's quiet strength that left a mark? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective keeps these stories alive. If you loved this dive into Mayberry's hidden truths, give it a like and subscribe for more. Next, we're unraveling the making of Friends, a tale of laughs, tears, and drama you've never heard. It's coming soon, and trust me, it's worth the wait. Even now in 2025, The Andy Griffith Show lives on, with revelations like Ron Howard's distant cousinship to Don Knotts sparking new fascination. It's a reminder that no story is ever perfect, but it's the imperfections, the human moments, that make them timeless. So, keep watching, because every classic has a secret waiting to be told.